Alright, Canon has finally done it. The full specs are out for the very impressive yet expensive Canon R5. However, they have also graced us with a pretty awesome alternative in the R6 with a much lower price tag, and I must say, it's seriously making me think about switching back from Sony. Hey everyone, Camber here, showing you how to use your camera to make good videos. So if you're new, consider subscribing. And now let's go take a look at what this camera has to offer. So right off the bat, we can see that this camera has a 20 megapixel full frame sensor, and Canon has finally given us the 5-axis in-body image stabilization with this sensor, which is going to be a huge help for stabilizing your shots. And they've also equipped the camera with a 3.69 million dot OLED electronic viewfinder, which will give you great clarity when using the EVF. But they've also provided a 3-inch 1.62 million dot free angle tilting touchscreen, which is what we really need nowadays for vlogging, for shooting YouTube videos like this, so you can easily see yourself without having to use a monitor. And I don't know why Sony hasn't figured this out yet, but Canon has definitely delivered here. Unlike the R5 that has the electronic screen showing you what all your settings are, we have the normal mode dial on the R6, which this is what we're used to, so no big deal there. It's easy to look down and see what settings you're on. And when it comes to the video specs, they've given us the ability to shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second at 422 10-bit. And this is gonna give you great colors and great detail in your videos. And this is up to 340 megabits per second on the recording bit rate, which will give you about an hour and 40 minutes when using a 256 gigabyte card. And these are some nice specs, but a lot of people still stick with 1080 because of the smaller file sizes. So let me know down in the comments if you would actually use the 4K or just stick with 1080p, because I'm curious to know what your preference is. And you also have the option of shooting full HD up to 120 frames per second with this camera at that same 422 10-bit, which will be shooting at 180 megabits per second, which will give you just over 3 hours of shooting with that same 256 gigabyte card. But you will need to be using the UHS 2 cards in order to record at these speeds. But if you want to take up less space, you also have the option of 420 8-bit in 4K up to 60 frames per second and still full HD up to 120 frames per second, and you'll get a lot more recording time. And they provided dual UHS 2 SD card slots, like we mentioned, are necessary if you want to shoot at those high 4K resolutions and frame rates in order to capture the best footage possible from this camera. And one of the best things that Canon has given us in this camera is that there is no crop in any of the recording modes, whether 4K or full HD. And what this means is that your lens focal lengths will stay the same in all video modes, and the dual pixel autofocus that covers 100% of the full frame sensor will be able to be used in all the modes. And all these features come in at $2,499 for this camera, which is really a great price for everything they're offering us. And it's expected to start shipping in late August. So let me know what you think of this camera, and if you're interested, or if you're gonna hold out and go for the R5, or maybe even some other brands, see what Sony may come out with soon. And that's the R6, and this thing's a pretty impressive camera, even though it's the cheaper model with fewer features. But I'm excited to get my hands on it to see if it's good enough for me to make the switch back to Canon from my Sony a7 III. Unless of course Sony announces the mythical a7S III sometime this month. But if this video is helpful, then please help me out, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you soon.